What is going on, everybody? Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to the Thursday edition of the Morning After stream presented by BETONLINE.AG. My name is Jared Block. You can follow me on Twitter at Jared R. Block. We have one more final Week 18 regular season betting show to go through. And then Thursdays will be a little bit different. So this is the final Thursday show of the NFL regular season. It's it's already shaping up to be insane per usual. Got a lot of teams that are going to be playing. Got a lot of teams that have already shut down. So the volatility is real, and I'm going to try to do everything we can to maneuver through all of it. Again, going to be one of those weeks where if you have never played Week 18, Week 17 DFS before, it's something where it's going to be a little bit more challenging to try to nail down some of these calls. So, yeah, I think there's always some money to be made somewhere. So I think we'll find an edge on some certain spots, and we'll be able to take advantage of it. The nice thing is that we do have a little bit of a gap between things this year. Normally, we would have to have 16 games all at either noon or 3 o'clock or 1 or 4 o'clock Eastern time, and then then the weekend's over. It's just done. So with this week, the way that it's structured is we have 2 games on Saturday. And both of them have playoff implications as well. You have Chiefs Broncos. Chiefs are obviously fighting for a possible number 1 spot. Denver's just trying to stay alive, although I do think that they're eliminated at this point. Dallas is probably, they have a clean hold on the NFC East, but they also, I'm not sure how many spots they can move up. I think they can move up maybe 1 in the NFC playoff picture. The Eagles, they're going through some COVID stuff. I have a feeling that they might end up actually sitting some plays because they are already locked into a playoff seed. So we'll see what happens with those 2, and we'll cover them more in depth here in a second. We have plenty of games to cover for Sunday. Got some 1 o'clock games, have some 4 o'clock games. But then we also get this unique Sunday night game with the Raiders and the Chargers. Now, this game was not supposed to be on Sunday night. It was flexed there for a reason. Because right now those 2 teams are not in the playoffs yet, and there are situations where both of them make it. There are situations where only one of them makes it. But the one thing we'll know is that we're going to get some playoff implicated NFL games on Sunday night, which is great. It's been a while since we've had a competitive Sunday night game. Been a while since we've had a competitive primetime game that's been actually something that's worth watching through the fourth quarter. So I'm excited to see what happens with it. But let's go ahead. Let's get started here. Good morning, guys. Good morning. All right, let's get started with these Saturday games. For those if you missed it, if you came in late, this is our last regular season betting stream on Thursdays. We're going to be doing some things differently on Thursdays moving forward. We hinted at a little bit of it yesterday, but this is going to be the last football-centric Bet Online stream where I go solo and take everything myself. So thank you for hanging out with me all season long. Can't believe we did 18 of these babies. Well, I think we did like 16, but still, who's counting? Still, yeah. I mean, it's a lot for one person to handle, and I'm stoked that you guys are able to hang along with me. If I do miss some news or if something comes in, please help me out. Week 18 is extremely hard to gather all news, especially when I'm not looking at it right now. All of my screens are booked up, so if I miss something, if something pops across in the next hour, feel free to let me know, and I will get to it there. So right now, the Kansas City Chiefs and the Denver Broncos kick off the week on Saturday afternoon. Right now, the Chiefs are 10.5-point favorites at home. They took this game very easily when the Chiefs were playing at Arrowhead a couple of weeks ago. This was a primetime game. It was kind of a snoozer. I believe it was a Sunday night game. And the Chiefs ended up winning 23-9, 26-9, something like that. Deontay Johnson, COVID IR. Well, that's a Great way to end Ben Roethlisberger's regular season. Uh, we'll talk about that game here in a little bit. Uh, Kansas City Chiefs should have all their weapons back outside of Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who looks like he's going to be continuously sidelined. I do expect Darrell Williams to pick up the slack, and he should be just fine in this game. I would expect Kansas City to play all their starters. They have the first game of the weekend, so they can't really prepare for the other teams in the back half of the schedule to be able to, rely on. So they have to win themselves and then let things play out. So if I'm Kansas City, I'm starting all my regular guys, no problem. They should be able to take care of Denver pretty handedly. If it gets out of hand, then we see the starters sit in the second half. But I don't expect that necessarily. Denver currently eliminated, but I would expect they would want to play spoiler. Drew Lock's going to be the quarterback. Teddy Bridgewater done for the season. They will be able to have Javonte and Melvin Gordon active. Wide receiver depth is still questionable at this point, although I do think they're going to have better success at it than last week. So, I mean, it's this one's pretty simple. I think you can take Chiefs -10 here. I don't expect Denver to cover. I think that they're mailing it in a little bit, and for what I saw, I think that Denver has a possibility to be without two of its top corners as well, as they just kind of finish off the regular season. So as much as they'd want to play spoiler, I just don't think that they have enough juice and firepower to do so, because frankly Kansas City has much more to play for. They're looking for that number one seed, and I think that they do it pretty handedly. So I like -10.5. I think it's definitely doable. We saw them cover this number earlier on in the year. I think you can feel comfortable betting it on Saturday afternoon. Dallas Cowboys, Philadelphia Eagles. Right now, Dallas is -7.5 on the road. The total's at 43. These two teams really don't have much to play for. They've both made the playoffs. If anything, they'd be doing seeding, but Philly can't move either direction. If they moved one direction, it would be down. But they're pretty much locked into a matchup with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at this point. Philly is. So I know they're going through their own COVID situation as well, so they may just intentionally rest people to get ready for next week. Dallas already clinched the NFC East. They probably just want to get some of their guys going in the first half. I don't really know. Like, the spread is iffy, right? I don't really, like, given the situation at hand, I just feel like there's more news to come out about the Dallas Cowboys that we just don't know yet. And I think that they're relying on that Philly news in order to make that call. So I know that these two teams definitely have had closer matchups in the past. The one that happened this year was early on in the season on primetime. Dallas completely embarrassed them in the first three quarters. Philly fought back, scored 2 touchdowns in garbage time, and it seemed a lot closer than it actually was if you're looking at the box score. So I am siding with the Cowboys -7.5 just because I don't know what the Eagles situation is, but I'm probably not going to touch it. If I were to pick one of the Saturday games to play, I'd back Kansas City ticket spread, no problem. So keep an eye on some Dallas news, running back news specifically for practicing this week. Kind of seems like a week that they'd want to rest Zeke, but I know he's just going to play through things anyway. Michael Gallup has a season-ending injury. I believe he tore his ACL on Sunday, which is unfortunate. He's one of my favorite players. But yeah, it's one of those things where they have the depth that will back things up. We saw Cedric Wilson have a bonkers game last week. Saw Dalton Schultz fill in as well. And we also know that the Eagles are terrible against tight ends historically, so I like both of those spots for the Cowboys. I don't lean one way or the other here. I guess I would say I'd end up on the Cowboys, but we'll see what the news brings. But definitely reviewing Saturday, Kansas City -10 would be a nice spot. I think that this actually could move from -10.5 to -10 by Saturday, so get on that if you have any extra cash that you want to throw on it. It's not one of my top 5 bets, but if you want to have some extra action, go ahead, bet Kansas City on Saturday. Call it a day. Wow. Deontay Johnson IR. That's crazy. Anyway, Green Bay Packers, Detroit Lions, Sunday football. The 1 p.m. games are some of the lowest totals that I've seen all season. And either it's divisional, playoff implications, or just sucky teams. Uh, they're all very, very low. As you can see on my screen here, if you were to zoom in, you can see and tell that there are no totals over 45 on the games I've selected. So that's where we're at. Green Bay coming in as 4-point favorites against Detroit on the road. 44.5 is the total. I saw this stat the other day. The Packers, very good against the spread this year, but the Detroit Lions, very good against the spread. 10-6 is what I saw. I think we are missing last week's information, but I'm pretty sure that the Detroit Lions are 10-6 against the spread this season. I will have to review that because I don't know if I believe it 100%, but that's what I saw. So maybe I'm reporting false news, which I apologize if I do. Did I say what my top two or three bets were, saving that for NFL content on the site? I've only given away one bet that I actually really like, and that was Chiefs minus 10.5. But I will type it in the chat if I find something. That's something I'll do differently today. I'll actually type it in the chat so you guys can scroll back and see it. I know you won't always be able to scroll back, but if you have chat open, you should be able to see things. Maybe I'll do something at the end of the stream too that I like. But Chiefs minus 10.5, and then possibly wait until it hits 10. See, becoming more and more like Sean every day where I have to physically talk what I'm typing in order to stay concentrated. That's what happens to us, guys. Green Bay Packers, Detroit Lions. Packers minus 4. I think that I'm going to stay away from this game. The Packers have stated that they are going to play their starters, but it's been a mixture of a combination of information and sources. Matt LaFleur, head coach, stating that they're going to play and treat this game like just another game against the Lions on the road. The 4-point spread scares me. This feels like a backdoor cover. I don't and can't expect the Packers to be in a situation where they're playing their guys all 4 quarters. So for that reason and that reason only, I am not betting this game at all. The money line situation, the fact that there's nothing here, basically tells me that BetOnline does not want to lay a number there because they don't want to get burned either side. Okay, Chris, thanks for confirming for me. Yeah, the Detroit Lions, I believe, are one of the top teams against the spread this year. 10-6 doesn't impact on their record, but they've definitely backdoored a few things and kept some games close. So I don't want to bet either side. Green Bay is going to play most of their guys at least through 3 quarters. If they're up by, it doesn't even matter if they're up, honestly, because it doesn't, like, a loss or a win doesn't matter for Green Bay at this point. So I'm not sure if Jordan Love made his way back from the COVID IR yet. It probably did, but if that were to not happen and not be the case, Kurt Benkert would slide in and play the last half of the game. I know that they're just trying to keep the Lions on their toes and not trying to give the media one thing or the other, but there's no realistic reason outside of just keeping your guys fresh for at least a half, and then they'll go from there. But yeah, I don't expect the Packers to play a full game here. The one thing that does concern me is if they only play a quarter, then they have 2.5 weeks until the actual divisional round of the playoffs in order to play that. So we'll see how it goes. I'm not betting this game at all. I think this game for DFS has its purposes, though. I like some of the Detroit Lions plays. I like Amon-Ra St. Brown. I like whoever starts at running back. And I think that we'll see Jared Goff shut down for this game. I don't expect him to play. No trust in your own team's backups. No, not really. Not really. The one guy I have some interest in, but again, we don't know how long he's going to play, is Patrick Taylor, who is their RB3. They used to have Kylan Hill, who they got in the draft, but he had a season-ending ACL tear early on in the season. And A.J. Dillon, while being the backup, is he's so tremendously relied upon in the playoff scenario that I have no interest in betting on him in DFS this week. So I'm going to stay away from the game entirely. We'll move on. We're already 20 minutes into the stream, and we've only gone through 3 games, so let's keep going. Chicago versus Minnesota. Right now, Chicago is the 4-point underdog. Minnesota getting those 3 points at home plus one. 44.5 is the total here. I think that the Vikings, we'll see what happens. Kirk Cousins should be active and available. I would expect him to start. Maybe they put Mond in. Bacon, I'm interested to see what you feel about that. If they start Mannion, I do think that they lose. If they start Mond, there's a chance that they still lose, but at least you get to see what he looks like. For those of you who don't know who Mond is, he's a dual threat quarterback. He's very, very good on his feet, has a better arm than Mannion does. We all saw what Mannion looked like the other day. Granted, that was in Green Bay in frigid temperatures against a solid defense on the road, so different situations here against the Bears at home. But I'm interested to see what they do with the Minnesota offense. We'll get some more clarity on that coming into the weekend. Obviously, we know that Thielen is done for the year. Cook should be still good to go. Jefferson should be still good to go. Keep an eye on Justin Jefferson records and implications and stats, because if he hasn't hit all of them, which I think he has, I think he's just smashed everything in his contract. But if he hasn't and he's still chasing something, might be a good idea to load up on some Justin Jefferson DFS plays and prop bets, as they might just funnel the ball to him to get whatever he has. Why not see what Mond has? Zimmer's gone anyway. Yeah, agreed. Definitely. Chicago on the other side, they will be starting Justin Fields. That's their third different starter in the last 3 weeks. They started Nick Foles 2 weeks ago, Andy Dalton the week prior, and now they will be starting Justin Fields to cap off their season. I don't mind the Justin Fields play as a DFS play for what it's worth. I don't know what his price tag is. I don't look at Week 18 stuff, honestly, until Friday, guys. Like, there's no point of looking at it until then, because I don't want to get swayed with price tags and information until most of things are said and done. So I like Justin Fields. Keep an eye on what Fields' contract stuff is too. And again, for those of you joining in, I want to say thank you again for joining me through all the regular season weeks that we've done on this Thursday stream. Will be the last Thursday stream that we do that's like this. We have plans for the playoffs as well as some other plans for Thursday. If I miss news, or if news breaks while we're on the show, put it in the chat. We'll talk about it. I'm also putting my comments as we go along here here with bets that I actually like. Only one bet so far that I like, and that is Chiefs minus 10.5. Week 18, haven't had it before. It's a new thing, but if it's like Week 17, then we need to keep an eye on specific contract scenarios, specific stat incentives. Obviously, the Antonio Brown and Mike Evans stuff was something I kept my eye on last week. That's not a thing anymore. Mike Evans is a thing, though. We'll get to Tampa in a little bit. But keep an eye on some Justin Fields stuff. I don't know how many games he's had to play to get bonus incentives. I don't know what specific stats, touchdowns, rushing yards, passing yards he's had to get to fulfill some bonuses. So maybe there's some stuff there in his contract for that. But chat, thoughts on Vikings QB situation. Do they start Kirk Cousins? Do they give him one last shot? I don't think he's going anywhere. I think Zimmer's gone, but I don't think Kirk's going anywhere. So why not see what Mond has? We already know what Mannion has, so might as well move on for the next guy, right? All right. Let's talk about Indianapolis and Jacksonville. Right now, the Colts are 16-point favorites here on the road. 44.5 is the total. This is probably the biggest road spread that we've had this season. 16 points, a ton. They're going to ride Jonathan Taylor's coattails as he tries to... I think that he has some serious incentives. And I think that he probably... I know that they are keeping their eye on the wild card, so take this with a grain of salt, but I think that Jonathan Taylor has one of his biggest games of the season. I know that he didn't do necessarily that well early on in this matchup. I think he got 100 yards and a touchdown in the first half and then basically did nothing in the second half. But again, this is just an early look. I'm not leaning the Colts. I'm leaning with Jaguars actually plus 16. I think that they could easily come in, play spoilers, but their offenses looked horrendous. I mean, they put up 3 points against the Patriots last week. I don't know, rough to back that, but they have nothing to play for. The Colts have somewhat of things to play for here. They should win handedly, but again, I'm probably just not touching it at all. Fatty wants the points. Go ahead, take the points, man. You can, if you want, you can tease it, but remember that they lost by like 45 just the other day. Anyway, enough time on that game already. Nothing too much to talk about there. The Colts have not beaten the Jaguars in Jacksonville or London since 2014. That's a fun note. That's a fun note. All right, Tennessee Titans and Houston Texans. Tennessee Titans minus 10, 42.5 is the total. Again, another terrible total. Haven't gotten anything above 45 yet, guys. So that's what Week 18 has in store for us. Right now, the Titans again 10-point favorites here against Houston. Derrick Henry has been reinstated from the IR. He's not going to play in this game. I'd be shocked if he did. There's no reason to do it. So Tennessee locked up the AFC South with a win. This is purely for seeding. They should be just fine and win this game. I actually like the Titans to cover here. Houston's been playing better, but I know that they won against LA, and that's fine. But I'm taking the Titans to cover 10 points here. I think that there's still action on the line for Vrabel and company, and I think that they still need a few things to figure out as they prepare for the playoffs. So I am going to take the Titans minus 10 and add that to my list of teams. So taking Chiefs and Titans minus 10. I'm going to keep doing this, keep posting comments whenever I find something. I know that these are two tough spreads, and I normally like to stay away from double digits, but a Week 18, you got to fight some of the narratives here. So I think both playoff teams that I chose here have something to play for still. It's seeding, and I think that they are able to put up some points against their opposing defenses. Biggie, 16 months. Appreciate you, sir. Giannis, 16 months. You guys are absolute degens. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. Riding solo here again on Thursday. Washington against New York. Washington minus 7 is what's coming out here from BetOnline. The total is 38. And that's freaking wild. Anyway, the Washington football team's getting a total on the Giants, so that shows you how bad the Giants are right now. Jake Fromm's going to get the start. I believe Mike Glennon is either hurt or just not playing anymore. They don't have anybody to throw the ball to. It's just a really, really bad way to end the year for the Giants. I'm staying away from this game entirely. This game means nothing to anybody outside of players that have specific things in their contract. So I don't expect Antonio Gibson to play. Terry should be out there, but again, like, why? And New York, I don't think anybody's close to breaking any specific incentives for bonuses. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but again, share that news in the chat if I'm off. Saquon, who knows? It does mean something to Galladay. That's right. I think he has, 0 touchdowns still? Maybe they'll try to force feed him a touchdown. That sounds like fun. Do you guys think that Russell Wilson's going to the Giants? Where's Russell Wilson going to go? If I had an inclination, I would tell you, but I have no idea. My gut says Pittsburgh, but I could see him go to the Giants too. You have a Week 18 championship, Jude. You gotta talk to your your admin about that. Your manager. That's brutal. That's absolutely brutal. Anyway, let's go ahead. Let's talk about. I don't want anything with Washington, New York. That's a throwaway game for DFS as well. Pittsburgh Steelers, Baltimore Ravens. Right now, the Ravens are 5.5-point favorites here. The total sits at 41.5. Again, another gross game. Pittsburgh's kept their playoff hopes alive. So is Baltimore's. Lamar Jackson did not practice yesterday. We have not got that report yet today. Here's what I feel about the Ravens. Yes, they've been decimated. They've probably been the team. There's always that one team, and I think that they're the team this year that's been decimated with injuries on both sides of the ball. giving yourself a best chance to win is not Lamar Jackson this week for me, personally. I would rather focus my attention on the guy that's been starting for you, and he's been struggling a little bit, but at the same time, I think that he gives you the best chance to win in Tyler Huntley. We just saw this matchup a couple of weeks ago. Lamar wasn't hurt then, but he was obviously struggling tremendously to do anything offensively. That was the game that the Steelers came back in a very gross fashion and won very, very late. It was like 19-16 or something like that. So I am completely... I don't think that Lamar should start. Keep an eye on that news. It's going to be a Sunday morning situation. I don't expect them to shut him down. I expect them to, they obviously have to. This is a must-win for both teams. I think the Steelers could cover here. So I'll take Pittsburgh plus 5.5. I think that Ben still has a little bit of magic. They looked really bad in some cases the other day. But there definitely are some ways that Steelers can take advantage of Baltimore's weak secondary at this point. And I think that as long as Deontay Johnson can play, I think that he's still up in the air. I saw news, it was broken in the chat earlier from Bacon. Do you know if he's actually out? Or is he still eligible to play? Because I didn't know about the Deontay Johnson news until this morning. So, Chad, help me out here. Do you know if he's actually available? Or is he ruled out already? Because if he's ruled out, I don't know how I could back Pittsburgh. Anyway, we'll wait for that stuff to come in. Oh, he's out. Okay. Maybe I will take my 5.5 and walk that back a little bit. I would feel better with a teaser. If he's vaccinated, I believe it's 5 days or at least 3 days of consecutive negative testing. So that's kind of tough to do if that happens on Thursday morning. Yeah, I would say it's a long shot to come back. So, okay, never mind. Scratch that off. No Pittsburgh minus or plus 5.5. If you want to tease Pittsburgh to like 7, that's okay. But I'm not going to take 5.5. I know that Big Ben's moment was last week, and that was all about him. And I know that they're going to refocus and be like, hey, we got one more to go. The defense will show up to play, that's for sure. But I think that I pick Baltimore to win this game and to cover it as well if Deontay Johnson's not going to play. They just don't have enough weapons, and Chase Claypool is at least right now, he's a one-man threat. Like, I don't think that they can move the ball down the field enough or effectively to be able to cover plus 5.5. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the defense keeps them in the game. Either way, it's going to be gross. So I'm just going to stay away from it entirely because that news, frankly, is not what I wanted to see. Cincinnati taking on the Cleveland Browns. Right now, the Bengals are 6 point. I actually led that off wrong because I forgot that they're not playing. Cleveland Browns -6. Even with a backup QB, they are -6. 38 is the total here. Do we know who the backup QB is for the Bengals? I know Joe Burrow and Joe Mixon are not playing. Is it Jeff Driscoll? Is that who it is? Or is it Brandon Allen? I think it's Brandon Allen. But either way, I'm staying far away from this game. It's disgusting. Cleveland is eliminated, and there's no reason for them to play anybody. So, Bengals, they're trying to get healthy. They are, once Joe Mixon went down, I think they saw the writing on the wall here, and they were like, hey, we're okay with where we're at seeding-wise. Let's let this thing play out. If our team can still get a win against the Browns anyway, let's go for it. I would expect them to sit Jamar Chase and T. Higgins as well. Maybe some Tyler Boyd. Maybe they play the first half with their backup QB. It's Allen. Okay, that's way worse than Jeff Driscoll. So, yeah, I'm staying away from this game completely. Half hour through the stream, and we're about halfway done. So there's a few games that I'm going to scratch off completely. It's Washington, New York, Cincy, Cleveland. And then I think I never really made a decision on Bears-Vikings, did I? I think that I'll say that I actually like the Bears to cover +4 here. Frankly, because I'm not sure what Minnesota is going to do with their QB situation. Okay, we got 7 games to go. Got about 30 minutes to cover it. Maybe I'll end things early and we can just shoot the shit and talk football to end the stream. New England Patriots taking on the Miami Dolphins. Right now, the Patriots are getting the 6.5 points here. The total sits at 40. Not much coming across from the Patriots side of things. I would expect them to play all of their guys because they need to. Well, they need to play well to get their seating to a better spot than where it is right now. Kirk is starting. Ooh, that's fun. Anyway, the I'm interested to see what Kirk incentives could be for this year. So Biggie, I mean, I don't know if you know off the top of your head, but maybe he has some things that he has to get to. I was interested in Justin Jefferson receiving incentives as well. I think he smashed everything anyway in his contract, but I would like to see what that could be. New England 6.5 points here. This is the game that we've been kind of looking forward to talking about for the last month for the Patriots because Miami always seems to have their number late in this season. They are eliminated now. I would expect them to still start Tua. I would expect them to still get a bunch of guys active for this one. Keep an eye on Jalen Waddle props here and Jalen Waddle incentives because he is breaking records of his own as well. I think he's got some reception props that he can clear. I think that he has some receiving yard stuff that he can get to as well. So keep an eye on that. But New England's going to want to win this game. They're going to want to run the ball. They did everything right last week. I just think that they come out here and they put a statement on Miami, but I'm not going to bet it. If you guys feel confident in this, I think New England's going to win. But I have this sneaky feeling that it's going to be a lot closer than people expect it to be. For whatever reason, and I still don't know why to this day, I don't know. The New England Patriots just do not play well against the Miami Dolphins late in the year in Miami. It's a thing. 15-mile-an-hour winds in Miami this weekend. Yeah, I mean, that doesn't take me off of things because they could just run the ball the whole game. But Waddle stuff's interesting. He does have a smaller A-dot, though, so I'm not too concerned. But yeah, I'm staying away. I think that the Patriots win, but it's not 275 is never a number I want to bet myself. Okay, thanks, Biggie. Anyway, let's talk about Jets Bills here. Right now, the Buffalo Bills are getting 16 points at home. 41's the total here. With the number total that low and a side that big, I just don't feel great about it. I do think that they can cover, but again, I mean, if the Jets could put up the fight that they did against the Bucks, I know that game was was the home game for them. There's still always that level of risk there. Buffalo does need to play well in order to increase their seed. And frankly, they do have the leg up against the Patriots right now in terms of divisional. I know that they split the head-to-head, but I'm pretty sure that the Bills have one more win or one less loss in the division than the Patriots do. And frankly, I think Buffalo wins this game no problem. 16 points is a lot, though. So, I don't know, Chad. I mean, do you feel comfortable betting Buffalo minus 16? They haven't proven that they're a minus 16 team over the last month of the year. So, I don't know, man. I'll probably just let this one fly and stay away. But, yeah, I'm doing a lot of stayaways, and I didn't expect to. I was hoping that we would get a little bit better numbers down the stretch here. Let's talk about Carolina, Tampa. I think this is a game we can feel confident about. Carolina, Tampa. Tampa's getting -8, 41.5 is the total. Another really, really low total. I am going to go ahead and back Tampa -8 here. I don't care how many guys they have out. I do believe that Carolina will probably start Sam Darnold. And frankly, that's where I want to capitalize when you're the Tampa Bay defense. Tampa Bay's defense has looked very suspect lately, and I get that. And I understand the concern. But -8 for Tampa in this spot with the narratives going on all week, you know that they're going to want to come out and lay the hammer here. They have seeding to fight for as well. So I know that they don't have Antonio Brown. I know that Chris Godwin's sidelined. I know they're going to be without Ronald Jones and Leonard Fournette. That's okay. Like, I still think that they can take 8 points. You still have Tom Brady. You still have Mike Evans, who that's the guy that I know wants. He has something that he's going for that actually matters. This will be his 8th season in a row where he's had 1,000 yards plus receiving. I think that he is within the. He has like 899. I think. I don't know if he had a touchdown reception last week, so I think that he has like 915 receiving yards or something like that. I do think that Tampa Bay forces Mike Evans the ball in the first half to get that, and I do think that they cover -8. The problem that I see with this is that they have to rely at least a little bit on Le'Veon Bell in the running game, which I think is, it's whatever at this point because I think he can still fit in the Ronald Jones role pretty well. He won't be the same as Leonard Fournette, but maybe we see some life back in Bell. I think that no matter who Tom's throwing to, he's going to be okay in this game. -8, I'll take it all day. Bucks should call up T.O. Yeah, I saw some of that yesterday. T.O., 48 years old, probably better than 3/4 of the wide receivers in this league. Didn't they run it up last year in a meaningless game with him? Yeah, I think Buffalo made a statement win last year, late in the season. All right, let's continue talking about this slate. Oh, I need to type this in here. Tampa -8. If you want to tease that down, you can as well. It's fine. Mike, thanks for hanging out, dude. Saw your message earlier. Obviously, keep in touch. We still got playoffs to go, man. So I hope you stick around for that a little bit here, and we'll start planning the Vegas trip here shortly, guys. New Orleans Saints, Atlanta Falcons. Saints -4. Total sits at 40. The Saints are 4-point favorites here in this spot. They need to win. It's a must-win. I believe Atlanta is eliminated now officially. So in the NFC, the two teams that do not have playoff seeds official yet, 49ers, who we'll talk about in 2 games, New Orleans Saints that are in this game. New Orleans needs to win in order to make it in. I think they also need the Niners to lose as well. And in this spot against Atlanta, we should expect Trey Lance to start. I don't care what Shanahan tells you. Jimmy G is not good enough to start in this game. I think Trey Lance will start. I think that they'll run Mitchell 25 plus times, and that should be enough to beat this Atlanta Falcons team. Now the spread, I'm talking about the wrong team. Sorry, guys. We'll get to the Niners in a second. Wow, brain fart there. Anyway, New Orleans Saints, same situation, right? Taysom Hill should start. Alvin Kamara should run the ball. I'm interested to see if Mark Ingram gets ruled out or in. That'll be a fun one to watch. I think Kamara has an excellent spot in DFS in a must-win situation. I do think that they explore all options with him and give him the ball as many times as they can. This New Orleans defense against Atlanta is very fun, a very fun DFS play. If you're still in a fantasy football championship for whatever reason, and you have the Saints, I think that you're in a really good spot this week. Saints -4 will be my pick. That was where I was going with all of this. So anyway, I got the wrong team off the top, but Saints -4 is where my pick will come. If I could spell right, that would also be great. New York Times is buying The Athletic. Nice. That's awesome. Okay. All right, let's move on here. Love all you guys. Appreciate you. Seattle Seahawks, Arizona Cardinals. Arizona -6.5 here. Total sits at 48. Arizona coming in touchdown favorites here against Seattle. Seattle quietly put up 50 points last week, and no one's talking about that, even though they're eliminated. So, again, they'll probably try to play spoiler here. The Cardinals, the best way to attack the Cardinals is to play them at home. And that's really all the strategy that you need in order to make that a successful bet. So personally, I'm not playing the Cardinals 6.5. I think they win, but I'm not betting -6.5. They have not. I don't think they've covered more than twice at home all season, and this is just not a spot where I want to back that. They're doing it for playoff seeding. Obviously, the division is on the line too. I believe. Remind me here. One of these teams has an easier way in, and I think that it's the Cardinals. I think the Cardinals just have to win in order to clinch, but I could be wrong. So I like the Cardinals to win. I don't like this spread. We'll see what happens with James Conner. He's going to be practicing all week probably, but I wouldn't be surprised to see him sit out again. They were able to handle Dallas pretty well without him. And yeah, I just think that this is a good spot for Zach Ertz. Would be interested to see what his bonus incentives would be in a short season with this new team. Maybe Edmonds has to get a little bit more on the ground or through the air in order to hit some bonuses. So Cardinals could be another bonus team. Yeah, I'm just not interested in anything in this game because one, I don't like betting the Cardinals at home. Two, the Seattle Seahawks are eliminated from the playoffs. This game does have the highest total on the main slate, though, which is kind of terrifying for DFS. So I don't know how much I like that. Kyler Murray, probably a fine DFS play. But again, there's going to be so much value on the slate. I think that this slate specifically could be one that you actually might not have an issue with DraftKings for the first time like all year, and then FanDuel, you probably leaving a bunch of money on the table. So I definitely can get behind some of that ideology. Last game of the 4 o'clock slate, last game of the main slate here, we have San Francisco against the LA Rams. Was getting ahead of myself earlier, but the 49ers, I do expect Trey Lance to start and play in this game throughout. I do also expect Elijah Mitchell to be the heavy focus on this offense. This does feel like a George Kittle game, so we'll start and talk about that here. I do think that in normals, I always look for spots for George Kittle where the game stays close. There's something worth playing for. That's more than just a regular season thing. It's a divisional game, and I'm looking at it usually a spot where the Niners are underdogs, and this matches and fits all of those. So it kind of feels like a stars aligning moment for George Kittle here. I worry a little bit about the amount of pass attempts that Trey Lance is going to have in this game, but I think it's going to be more. It's going to have to be more than it was against Houston last week. So maybe we see Trey Lance get to the 30 attempt mark. I think that's kind of scary and shaky for the Niners as an offense, but it's a must-win game for them, and they need a little bit of help from the Atlanta Falcons in order to make the playoffs. So while those games are going on at the same time, shout out to NFL for making those games the same time and not letting one of those teams just kind of lollygag their way through. I think that the Niners will probably end up losing here because the Rams really want to clinch the NFC West. They're getting 4 points here at home. 1 point favorites on a neutral site. I think this does go closer to -4.5, -5 towards the end of the weekend. Total 44.5. The most surprising news out of all of this is that Cam Akers is expected to play in this game, and I don't know how I feel about that. Apparently he is 100% good to go. Again, don't know how that's even possible, but steroids and drugs, that's basically what that means. Or he's been incredible in rehab, which I guess is fine too. Um, Cam Akers coming back for this team is definitely the spark that they've needed. They've struggled recently. They've played very, very poor football on offense. And frankly, the defense hasn't looked nearly as good as we thought that it would either. The Rams, it all depends on Stafford, right? Like, I think that he's going to be under pressure a lot of this game. He's been a turnover machine in the last month, and I really don't even know how you can back the Rams outside of saying, like, hey, Cam Akers is fresh. Cooper Kupp should have his way with anybody, and that could be just enough to bump you over the -4. line. Aaron Donald starting against Trey Lance is also something to monitor. He's going to have a tough time with that. I'll take LA -4. I think the Niners' playoff aspirations end here. Sorry, Josh. But I think that the season's over after this one for them. Tough spot for Trey Lance to be in. So if he proves me wrong and he wins this game, then obviously the narrative of Jimmy G versus Trey Lance would grow tremendously in that regard. So I'll take LA -4. All right. Last game on the board here. Chargers, Raiders, Sunday Night Football, all or nothing. Actually, not all or nothing. Almost everything but nothing, because this is my favorite part. This is my favorite game to talk about for one specific reason. And I believe that if the Colts lose, I think it's the Colts. There's one team that has to lose. And if it's the Colts, they have to lose to the Jaguars or the Texans. I don't even know who they play. They have to lose to the Jaguars. And if they lose to the Jaguars, it doesn't matter who wins, Chargers or Raiders. They will both make the playoffs. So wouldn't that be amazing? Anyway, the Chargers and Raiders would have to tie in order for them to both make the playoffs. So I don't know if there's going to be that will never probably happen. I think the chance of that happening is less than 5%. So anyway, I'm all about those kind of narratives. I think that's interesting. So right now I'm taking Chargers -3. It's not debatable for me. I think the Raiders looked impressive against the Colts last week. That was all well and good, but I think that the Chargers, with their weapons back, barring anything from COVID, think that their defense should be able to put enough pressure on this offensive line for the Raiders. The skill weapons just don't match up. I think that the Chargers just have so much of an elite upside here, and I think that -3 is way, way, way too small. So maybe BetOnline's seeing something that I don't, but I'm bullish on the Chargers here. I think that I want them. I think that they cover -3. I can't get behind the total though. I think that the game total actually sits a little bit lower than 50. So I'm gonna go LA Chargers -3, and I think that I don't have any. No, I think the only underdog that I even have interest in is the Chicago Bears +4. Everything else is a favorite from playoff teams or potential playoff teams. So I like the Chargers -3. That's where I'll stay with that. I think that Austin Eckler should be able to just do everything himself here. And if they have to overly pass, obviously you have one of the best young quarterbacks in the league to take care of that. Been in and out, but Houston, Tennessee is the most intriguing game to me. Seattle, Arizona, just from anything can happen. Yeah, I think that Seattle, Arizona, anything can happen in that game. Again, I don't like betting on the Cardinals at home ever. Houston, Tennessee is interesting, but I think Tennessee handles their business. I think that they looked very, very solid against Miami, who had just won 7 games in a row. So I don't mind the Tennessee side. I think Houston has just been playing with nothing to lose for so long, but they only have so much firepower here. So I think that Vrabel knows a lot of those things, and he wants to go and get that number 1 seed. So I expect them to not play conservatively, Tennessee. So one thing I didn't touch on, and we'll just touch on this here now that we have 6 minutes. I said this earlier on in the show for those who missed it, but Kansas City has to go all out here in order to clinch the first. They can't clinch the first seed. They would need the Titans to lose. But I do think that Kansas City, playing on Saturday afternoon before everybody else, they need to just put their foot on the gas and blow Denver out of the water. I don't expect them to sit starters, and if they do, they're up by 30 points. So they have to do their job first and then let things play out. While the Titans need to watch Kansas City, obviously, who I think wins. But yeah, Vrabel is not the type of guy to take this matchup lightly. I think they come in and they steamroll the Texans to finish their season off. So I'm not gonna. I'm definitely not gonna bet against Mike Vrabel. That's not something I like or enjoy doing. Vrabel, the favorite for Coach of the Year? No, I think it's Matt LaFleur at the moment. I can look though. I can look right now. NFL player futures. Oh, sorry. My apologies. It's Zach Taylor. Zach Taylor is Coach of the Year favorite right now at plus 145. You have Matt LaFleur plus 175. You have Mike Vrabel plus 190. That's a cool little bet there, Mike Vrabel. I don't believe in the I don't believe in the Zach Taylor plus 145 thing. I don't see how he gets that award, but who knows. Also, you guys, I put out a poll yesterday on the main handle about comeback player of the year, and over 60% of the votes betted on Joe Burrow, who plus 115. Dak Prescott is the favorite at minus 145. Both these teams were decimated after their quarterbacks got injured, and now both will make the playoffs and they took their divisions. All about the turnaround? Yeah, I get that. Tennessee had to overcome extreme adversity this year, though. Yeah, I think Dak Prescott wins Comeback Player of the Year. And I know that this award's probably a little bit rigged, but you got one guy playing for the Cowboys, the Dallas Cowboys. You got one guy playing for the Cincinnati Bengals. So I think that's a pretty clear way of saying that Dak Prescott wins. I don't know, you think so? I mean, I don't know, man. I know Joe Burrow's playing out of his mind, and I know that they beat the Chiefs, but I think Dak Prescott takes it. And I don't want to get into semantics, but like the Dak Prescott injury was overly shown, and that's what sticks in the public's head. Whereas Joe Burrow's injury was sad, but it's also I don't think that it was covered nearly as much as Dak's was. Should have been James Conner. Yeah, he's looked incredible. He's looked incredible. But yeah, I think Dak Prescott just because of media and notoriety and him being on the Dallas Cowboys. If Joe Burrow was on the Dallas Cowboys, he'd win the award. Let's talk about other awards here. Defensive Player of the Year. T.J. Watt is coming through with a huge lead here. You obviously can't bet T.J. Watt anymore on the prop market, but if you want to get some extra action here in the final game of the season, there are definitely guys that can do it. I know T.J. Watt's going. I think he has what? Chad, help me out here. I think he's got 2 sacks, 3 sacks to go to break a record. I think that he had 20 as of Monday night, but I can't remember. Anyway, like it's going to be tough to pass him, and you know that he's going to try to go after that. Micah Parsons is worth a flyer. He is, and Dallas has a matchup against Philly in week on Saturday, so we'll see. Oh, he's 1 sack away. Yeah, if he's 1 sack away, there's no way that he's losing the award. There's no way he's losing the award right now. He'll probably get 2 sacks on Sunday. Okay, cool. Thanks for letting me know. Appreciate it. Aaron Donald plus 1,600. Trayvon Diggs plus 2,500. Robert Quinn plus 5,000. Yeah, seems like a pretty clear thing here, but like TJ Watt pulled away in the second half of the season. He pulled away. Like Micah Parsons was a plus 100 for a while. MVP, Rodgers minus 500. Tom Brady plus 350. Jonathan Taylor plus 1,400. Cooper Kupp plus 3,300. Hope he gets at least 2. That would, yeah. The record was kind of strange. You can say what you want about 17 to 18 games or 16 to 17 game seasons, but it's just the world we live in right now. Like Cooper Kupp's about to have historically one of the best regular seasons ever for a wide receiver. People will still not accept that over the Jerry Rice 95 season. I've said it the last couple of weeks here now. But yeah, I think that didn't Didn't the Michael Strahan record come against Brett Favre or like late in the season? I don't know if that was the exact sack, but I think it might have been. Anyway, my memory is depleting at the rate. Like it's yeah, I thought so. I thought so. And Brett gave it up too. He fell on the ground for sure. Anyway, Cooper Cup's about to have the best regular season statistically since Jerry Rice in '95, and the numbers are very, very close. And I know that people are going to look back and be like, "Oh, well, it wasn't a passing league then," and "Oh, well, Jerry Rice did it in one less game." Like that's fine, but just like give Cooper Cup his credit, man. Week 17, Favre got tapped and fell down. Yeah, that's what it was. I remember that now. Jamar Chase, Mac Jones, Rookie of the Year. I mean, I think Jamar Chase just sealed it specifically because of what happened last week, the last 2 weeks. I don't know if sealing is the right term to use. If Mac Jones, like, if they had a tougher opponent this week, then I would say, like, he comes up with a big win and they move their seeding up in the playoffs and they become AFC East champs. Like, then I would consider Mac here. But Jamar Chase has looked incredible the last 2 or 3 weeks specifically, and I think that swings some bias. So, I don't know. What do you guys think about Offensive Rookie of the Year? I think it's an interesting story. I think that the minus 300 is a little bit inflated after the last month. Mac Jones would be leading that the entire season. Didn't even realize that we passed the hour mark, or we're about to anyway. Huge shout out to BetOnline for being the official sponsor all season. Nightbot just posted the chat, the link for the betting here. Guys, fun fact: I did not. I got my Super Bowl date wrong, and we were talking yesterday. We had our company marketing meeting, and it was brought up to me that the Super Bowl is not the first Sunday of February anymore. It's February 13th, and I didn't even know that until now, which is the second weekend of February, and the 20th is NBA All-Star break. It's Valentine's Day weekend. That is the worst. I'm sorry for all of you who have to go through that. That is awful. Thankfully it's not on Valentine's Day. At least you can now ask off on Monday and blame it on Valentine's Day and not Super Bowl. Kansas City, LA, New Orleans, LAC. You can take a flyer on Chicago +4. But I like all of those bets more than Chicago. Kind of a weird week where I like favorites a lot. But again, those are either teams that have clinched playoff stuff and are looking for seeding. That's important. Teams that need to clinch for division titles. Teams that need to just make the playoffs in general. So I'm taking my shots on those teams, specifically New Orleans and LA Chargers. I also like the Rams too, but I think that if I were to pick two that I feel most comfortable about, New Orleans and the Chargers are my favorites. Any final questions or comments, guys? Again, thank you so much for hanging out with me. I think we did about 15 or 16 of these things. I know we missed a couple through the holiday season, but just want to say thank you. We're going to be doing things differently for the playoffs. Josh and I will make our morning after stream on Fridays the centralized topic of NFL playoffs. We'll be doing some things differently on Thursdays. Excited to share with you what that's going to be. Also, I know Twitch numbers are always different, so it could be 12 people, it could be 15, it could be 20. They won't tell me for several minutes after. Yep, +4 Bears Biggie. But I'm going to share with you something that we leaked very, very quietly. And I'll bring it forward here with you guys now. Josh and I will be doing our own version of the Roto Radar After Dark streams for a lot of the big night sporting events this season, or this entire calendar year, excuse me. That will include UFC pay-per-view live reactions, um, March Madness. It will include several things throughout the year, every single pay-per-view for UFC. So we're going to be doing these reaction shows, shooting the shit, having a few drinks, and wanting to sweat things out with you. So we've never actually done those types of things. Yeah, kind of like a watch party. We can't physically put the actual event on the screen behind us, but yeah, that's the idea. Just more of a reason to kind of like, you know, hang out with you guys, and we wanted to make sure and try to do something else because I know we're not doing 30 to lock as much on here, and want to make sure that you guys are getting your subs worth, obviously. So yeah, we're pumped about it. The first UFC event is the first pay per view is January 22nd, I believe. That's where you sit with a controller and pretend to be playing. Yeah, well, here's the thing. On Thursday mornings, we're actually going to turn our morning after show into an actual video game slash uh, whatever stream. So we're looking forward to that. More to come. I've already said too much. So that's what we're doing. So Josh's technical day off is Thursdays, so that was the only way for me to get him on Thursday streams from here on out, since I can't do these full 16 NFL games covering on Thursdays. So I that was my way to get him on board to come in for Thursday, is to get him to play video games with me. So we're going to be doing that. We're going to be running marble contests. We're going to be getting you guys involved, giving away FanDuel vouchers, things like that, every single Thursday throughout the rest of the 2022 calendar year until football comes back. So we're stoked for it. And that starts as early as next Thursday. So we have a lot of work to do to get to that point, but we have to take down this NFL slate first. Again, no games tonight, but we do have an NBA slate to cover, which I'll be hopping on here in a little bit for. And we also have 2 games on Saturday, which I'll be providing for football. I believe I'm the only one that's providing content for Saturday, and I'm the only one that's providing content outside of any bonus stuff for the playoffs. So if you have a membership right now, you're locked in for the rest of the calendar year. If you have the season pass, if you have a weekly or monthly pass for NFL, get with our guys, our sales guys, or you can talk to Can of Corn. He'll help you out with some stuff too. And yeah, I mean, I'm excited for the playoffs here. I don't want this to sound like a farewell show, but you just won't see me on Thursdays doing this much anymore. But we'll be back tomorrow for the morning after, and we'll cover some Saturday football. We'll cover some Week 18 football with Josh, get his opinion on what the Niners need to do in order to make the playoffs, and we'll go from there. Should we be normal betting on Week 18 or lighter? You should be betting lighter on the main slate this weekend. You can still go full on Sunday night because that game actually means something. But yeah, you should be going a little bit lighter on Week 18 main slates. All right. Thanks, guys. I appreciate you. Thank you for hanging out with me this morning. And we'll talk to you on the NBA podcast a little bit later this evening. As always, good afternoon, good morning to some of you, and good skill.